Hello, welcome to another video on SwiftUI. In this particular video, what we're going to do is we're going to create a to-do list app, but we will be using MVP architecture, which is the model view presenter architecture. Now, if you're not familiar with that, you can go online and read about it. There's a lot of data about it. I'm not going to talk about it, but what it does is you create your model, which represents the data. You have your view, which displays the data and handles user interaction. And then you have the presenter, which contains the presentation logic and mediates between the model and the view. So this is the project that will bring everything together, and I'll show you in real time a real example on how to use MVP inside SwiftUI. So let's get started. Let's open Xcode and start with the MVP or model view presenter for to-do list app. So I'm going to start with a new project here. Select iOS app, next, and for this project I'm going to name it in particular to-do list MVP, just so that not to confuse with other projects that we've done in the past for to-do list. Let's save it to my desktop and I'll have the basic content view. Now to start with, first we'll need in MVP, first we need the model. So let's start with the model. For this particular project, I'm going to create a new file and select Swift file, and I'm going to call this TodoItem as my model. Create. I have my foundation already here. I'm going to go and say struct TodoItem identifiable, so we can use the UID, and codable, so it can be converted into JSON easily. Now let's call it let ID is equal to UID. This will create a unique identifier for every single to do item. Our to do item will have ID, title, and if it's completed or not. So that's a bool. So I'm going to create a title, and this title I'll call it string. Next, I'm going to call that is completed if it's the task is to do item is completed or not. I'm going to call it, I'm going to make it of type bool. Next, let's create the initializer. I'm gonna initializer with all these parameters. I'm going to make sure that I don't have to enter this again and again, so I'm going to give a default value for UID as UID, and I'm going to set the boolean, since whenever it's created it's not completed, so I'm going to set is completed to false. So that kind of is our model for our to do list. Next, we're going to do the view protocol. So I'm going to create a new file again, and this file I'm going to call it to do view. So this is the protocol that will be implemented by whichever view that want to implement this particular view. So I'm going to call it to do view.swift, and inside here I will say just define the protocol, and the protocol will be to do view any object, any, so it conforms to anything anywhere I can implement this protocol. And the function that I want to run for this one is display the to-dos. To-dos is the array of items which is of the type to-do item that we've created. So that's our view protocol. The next thing that I want to do is the presenter. So we did the model, we did the view protocol, we didn't do view yet, but next we're going to do the presenter. Now presenter is where all the business logic goes in. So I'm going to call it to do presenter new file, to do presenter dot swift. So this is my presenter file. I am gonna go ahead and say class to do presenter, and in this case I'm going to create a private variable which or make it weak, because I want no cyclic references to my to do view. Make it optional. Private variable, another one with all the to dos in there, which is again an array of all the to do item. I'll make it empty in the start. Initialize the view. I don't need everything, but okay, so I just want the view of to do view, and this one will have self dot view equal to view that is passed. So that's how you can initialize this. Next, I'm gonna add a function to load all the to-dos. So I'm gonna say load to-dos. So this is to read all the to-dos. Now, if you have like getting this data from a database and API, this is the place where you will fetch that. But since I am not, I'm gonna just say dot display to-dos and pass the to-dos here. Perfect. Next function, I am gonna add to-do with title. So this function is used to add the to-dos. It will take just the title because we don't care about the other items. Whenever it's added, UUID is automatically created and is complete is false. New to-do equal to to-do item, and I'll initialize with the title that is passed to me. Perfect. Next, I will append it to my array of to-dos. Next, I will say to the view that dude, go ahead, display these to-dos. So that kind of takes care of add to-do. Now, every time something is completed, I want what happened, no exact to-dos dot append up new to-do. Yep, there you go. Every time a particular function is thing is completed, a to-do is completed, I want to toggle the button saying that it's completed or not. So I'm going to say completion. Let's say to do toggle to do completion, and to this we can just pass the UUID of that to do item, and I'm going to say if let index for that particular to do's dot uh, first index where $0 dot id equal to id. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying that out of all the to do's, find me the index of the to do that I've just passed. So if it doesn't exist, it will not do anything. But if it does exist, what it's going to do is it's going to go and to do index dot is completed is going to set to, so I'll do toggle, not true or false, because if it's true it will be false, if it's false it's true. So it toggle. Then I'm going to say view, again same thing, display my to do's with the new completed or non-completed item. Finally, the deletion. So function delete to do, pass the id UUID, and this particular I'm going to say to do's dot remove. I'm going to call the remove all function. The reason I'm calling remove all is because I am saying that from all of them I want to remove all whose ID match to this ID. So I'm not removing all, but I'm removing one which matches this. So all, spelling mistake. And then once it's removed, I'm going to say same thing, display to-dos, the to-dos that are left in the to-dos array. So that will take care of our presenter logic. Now let's go to the view. For our view, we have content view.swift, which is the first screen. So this is the one that I'm going to edit to make it work with the MVP logic, where this is the view for that. So I'm going to say here content view, and instead of view I'm going to say observable object and to do view. So the reason I've added observable object is that every time there is a change or something, it probably does that, changes and displays it. I'm going to get rid of everything right now so it doesn't give me any errors. And here I'm going to say published, the item that I want to kind of observe has to be specified with published. So to do's is one of them, which has to do item empty array. Next, another one that I want to listen in is the new to do title, which will be a string, which I'm going to initially set it to empty. Next, I want to create a private variable presenter. So I have access to presenter, which is to do presenter. So that's the basic start of it. Next, I want to do initialization, and inside initialization I'm going to say self dot presenter is equal to do presenter. So I'm going to initialize it here, view self. Next I want to say presenter dot load to dos. So this will load my initial to dos that are there. I'm going to get some errors, but I don't have to worry about them right now because I've not implemented a bunch of things. So for example, the display tools, which is a function that needs to be implemented by whoever is implementing this to do view protocol. So here, so that will get rid of one of the errors. So inside my display to dos, I'm going to say dispatch queue. So create a separate thread here, or queue dot main. I'm accessing the main queue. I'm saying asynchronously I want to some code, and that code is self dot todos equal to todos. That's what I want to do when display tools is called. Next I'm going to do function add to do. This is when a button is clicked on the screen. Where is my screen? It's not displayed right now because I have not given the content view at the bottom. I've removed that. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to bring that back. Let's bring that back first. Struct content view underscore previews is preview provider, and inside that, so now that preview provider previews is some view content view. There you go. That should probably bring it up back, but let's wait for completing our function here. Okay, so now that we are here, next thing that we want to do is, let's go back here, dispatch add to do. This is for the button that we'll be adding. For adding the to do function, here I'm going to add the guard new to do title dot is empty. I'm going to check if it's empty. If it's empty, if or is in this case not empty, I don't want to. If it's empty, I don't want to I just want to return. Don't do anything. But if it's not empty, I want to say presenter, and to that I'm going to add the to do title, the new to do title, and I'm going to empty the new to do title after that, because once it's added I don't need that anymore. The next one is toggle. So next is toggle, where I'm going to say function toggle to do completion. I'm going to pass that id uu id. In this particular case I'm going to say presenter, say dot toggle completion, and pass the id, which is id. And then I think the delete one, delete to do, pass the id again, uuid, same function. I'm going to call the presenter and going to say delete to do and pass the id to it. So that's our first thing. Next thing that we will look at is, ignore the errors for now because we didn't even create the content view, which is of the class view, because the previous one that we created was a struct content view. Oh, this was the content view model, sorry. So our content view model, and this is the content view. So in this particular content view, what I'm going to do here is first create that observable object, and this object will be our view model, and this view model will be of the type content view model. There you go. Next I'm going to create the body so we can see stuff on the right side, some view, and this view will have navigation item, navigation view, and this navigation view will have a vertical stack of items which starts with the list, and this list will consider of will be of all the to dos. So I'm going to say view model dot to dos, to do. For each to do in that list, what do I want to do? Oh, what I want to do, to do. Okay, what I want to do is create a h stack. So inside the list, I'm creating a h stack of text items for each to do dot title. So this will display the titles of the to dos. Next, I will have a spacer. Next, I will have an image, system name. So for this is the check mark that will be there. So either it's a green check mark when it's completed. So if it's completed, I want to get the system image of check mark dot circle dot fill. If not, I want to see the basic circle, the gray circle box. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm saying here. Now this one I will also add on tap gesture. So when it's tapped, we want to call the view model and toggle the to do and pass the to do dot id. So this will toggle is completed to false or true. So that's completed. Now next I'm going to go 2 level below, and whenever a delete button is clicked on that particular item, I want to do this. And this, by this I mean, depending on which one it is, I'm going to get the index set in index set dot for each, and inside that for each I will say index in, and I'll say let's get the to do item, to do equal to view model dot to dos of index, and that view model dot delete. So that to do that I got, I am going to delete that one depending on which one we have pressed delete on. So that takes care of that. Now after this, here where our will probably give the navigation title, which is to do list, give a toolbar. Oop. Sometimes easier to just type these things out. Toolbar, and that toolbar is toolbar item, and toolbar item placement is dot navigation trailing, and that's all I want to give. Navigation trailing, and inside that I'll create a button which will be just the system plus button, which will have an action. Button action of view model dot add to do, and the image it will have is system name is plus. So that's what I'll have. Now to add the to do's items, the h tag. So right here I'm going to add a h tag, horizontal stack. Start with the text field and new to do text of dollar view model. So because view model has that new, what was it, let's go back up there, new to do title, view model new to do title, and this one text, this is, since it's a text field, I'm going to give a text field style of dot rounded border and a basic padding. So let's see, why is this giving an error still? It should have something. Looks like I have misspelled here. Observable object to do view, this is right. Item published Why are you giving an error? Let's say wrapped value is unavailable on properties of classes. Oh, makes sense. Instead of class, I said struct. And this one here, unknown attribute observable object. Oh, this is not observable. This is observed object. That's why it's giving an error. Let's see if we have any other issues. Oh, looks fine. So we have our entire thing here. If you had done that before, probably have seen the code of the UI update as and when we do stuff. But anyways, next one, we'll add the button, which is action view model dot add to do. And for this, I am going to add a text field of add, and let's style it up. Let's give it padding. Let's give it background color of color dot blue. I'll give a foreground color of dot white. I will give a corner radius of 8, and that's how my button looks like. Let's give it a padding to the entire thing so it looks a little bit cleaner. Okay, there you go, cleaner. And that kind of completes our entire project. Let's run it and see if it works. I'm going to make it a little bigger. Say first to do add. Oh, there you go. Second to do add. This is pretty much waste because I have this here. I can select this, uncheck it, and then I can always delete it. Third to do add. The top add button is not required since we have this here. I am going to remove this toolbar option from the top, and there you go. First, let's see, still works. Okay, good. Delete works, everything is fine. So this is our entire project. If you have any questions on this, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.